Can a ghost die? This might seem like a strange question because, by definition, a ghost is already dead, so how can something that is dead die again? Nonetheless, there is a growing interest in the concept that ghosts, if they exist at all, might have a limited lifespan. After all, something, especially what some believe to be a conscious entity, cannot exist forever, can it? I'm TK Randall, and in this episode I'll be attempting to answer the question, can a ghost die if it is already dead? Okay, I know what some of you are thinking. How do we know that ghosts even exist at all? This is obviously a much broader topic, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that ghosts actually do exist, otherwise the question of their longevity would be something of a moot point. No doubt I'll be returning to the wider topic of ghosts in the future, but for now, let's focus on the original question, which was, can a ghost die? This concept was brought up back in 2024 in a news article covering the work of Brian Sterling-Vete, a British author, paranormal researcher, and martial arts instructor. What I found most interesting was that he had conducted an analysis of paranormal activity at 100 famous haunted locations, something he refers to as Project Half-Life, and found that there had been a noticeable reduction in ghost sightings and other supernatural activity at these locations. He ended up concluding that this was an indication that the ghosts at famous sites were literally dying off, and that they may have a lifespan of only around 100 years. He was quoted as saying, "When all the data was considered, it was quite a shock to think that many of our once famous ghosts could be literally dying. It was apparent that famous ghosts in once notably haunted locations were being seen increasingly less frequently, and some had not been seen in many years. Project Half-Life suggests that sentient ghosts seem to have a limited lifespan, just like living humans. In simple terms, the second law of thermodynamics tells us that energy tends to disperse and degrade over time. I would argue that our findings show ghosts do conform to the second law of thermodynamics as they appear to run out of energy. This apparent phenomenon of ghosts dying has come to be referred to as second death. So could ghosts really have a limited lifespan? And if so, what happens when they die a second time? Could the mere possibility of something like this suggest that ghosts are in fact not necessarily dead or alive, but something else? Clearly, this whole concept raises more questions than answers. In theory, it does at least make some sense to suggest that a sentient ghost couldn't simply live forever. A thinking entity must expend energy, and it would presumably have a limited supply. Unless it could replenish that energy somehow, then it would eventually expire. But then, as I said before, is such an existence really death at all? And then, if a ghost died, what would be considered death to something that is already dead? Perhaps there are different types of such entities, although it has to be said, we are really speculating here. This is all pure conjecture. In many ways, this topic is more a thought exercise than something that can be definitively answered. Some of the members of our forum offered their thoughts on this particular topic back in 2024 when we featured an article about it on the site. Buzz Lightyear brought up an interesting point when he suggested, well, this might be the reason for the absence of dinosaur ghosts. True enough, can you recall anyone ever claiming to have seen the ghost of a dinosaur? Or a prehistoric species of human? Is that what sightings of the Loch Ness Monster are? Or Bigfoot? Again, this seems like a topic for another time. Another member contradicted the 100-year lifespan idea by noting, in Egypt, there are alleged ghost sightings where people claim to have seen the spirits of some pharaohs, in the Valley of the Kings, for example. If they really have seen such spirits, one thing is clear. These spirits are older than just 100 years. It does raise the question, do people see ghosts that would presumably be older than 100 years? There are countless examples of ghost stories involving ghostly monks, people in period dress and other similar things, which would seem to suggest that the 100-year lifespan idea may not be accurate. A couple of other members took a slightly different approach by posing the question, what if it isn't that there is a hard and fast lifespan limit, but that instead some mechanism used by spiritual entities to sustain themselves is being blocked or interfered with in some way by the activities of the modern world? Procyon wrote, I've heard ideas like this before, but also theories on how a ghost might be able to prolong its lifespan, undeath span, however you want to describe it. A being made of energy presumably needs energy to survive. You hear stories of shadow people, succubi, incubi, and psychic vampires as non-physical beings that visit people in their sleep and leave them weak and sickly afterwards. Maybe if ghosts stick around for long enough, they eventually have to prey upon the living, unless they have some other source of energy they can access. That could help explain why some ghosts seem so malevolent, even when their history doesn't really explain it. Intelligent spirits who either don't know how or are unwilling to do this fade away, while only the most determined ones stick around. So all things considered, we really don't know if ghosts, if indeed they exist at all, have any sort of lifespan or not. The 100-year figure given by Brian Sterling-Vete seems to be supported on one hand by the apparent reduction in sightings, but contradicted on the other by the fact that some of those who do report sightings recall witnessing apparitions of ghostly monks and figures in period dress, which clearly date back more than 100 years. And even if people are reporting fewer ghost sightings at traditionally haunted locations, does it really mean that the ghosts have died? Perhaps people are simply more skeptical of the paranormal these days and are more critical and analytical about potential paranormal phenomena that they may have experienced. Ultimately, it certainly serves as an interesting thought exercise. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. That's all from me for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell icon to be notified when we upload new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.